All right.
All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
This is the brother Ra'aya
Brother Judah Kazak.
of GMS New Orleans coming at you with another, quick lesson. But before we get started, as always, we're going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end, and the few sincere Akwak diligently learning in silence. Shalom.
Shalom.
So, hey, I don't think we need to really explain what this lesson is going to be on.
Yeah.
Current events is coming in hot. Israel just did a strike on Iran with the help of the United States of America, and just the feed is just exploding. Now information's come out that Al Khamenei, one of their heads of state over there, has been killed in one of those strikes. And how they described it was so disrespectful. We found his body under some rubble. So, hey, we're at the door of all hell breaking loose. We're at the door of what? World War III, EMPs, cyber attacks, sleeper cell attacks, which Iran, threatened that, with these recent strikes that happened. So, hey, we're at the door. Now more than ever, everybody should have all 10 toes down in this truth, doing whatever you can to make your calling and election sure. Because we know that World War III, with the nukes won't fully pop off until that chip is mandatorily implemented. But with us being at the door of this war, we know it's right around the corner. And you've been having a lot of Israelites out here that have been lukewarm and half-stepping. Well, now is not the time for that. Just in the blink of an eye, we're out here at one of our different locations, and you got people, on boats, having picnics, playing with their kids, like nothing's going on. Hey, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. Hey, these next, 48 hours, the next week is gonna be very critical. But hey, we're gonna get straight into it with these prophecies, which from our apostles and elders all the way down to the youngest man in sincerity of GMS have been preaching for, decades with our apostles, and decades, for older brothers to the recent years with the younger brothers.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14, and it reads, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly."
And woe means destruction. That second woe was World War II, and the third woe, which is coming quickly, is World War III. I bet if you go to TikTok and these different social media platforms, World War III, the draft, all these things are going to be, trending right now, because that is the times we are living in. Actually, you can give me Matthew 24:7.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, starting at verse 7, and it reads, "For nation shall," so that's 6 also.
Yeah, 6, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You can read 6.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, starting at verse 6, and it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet."
And that's exactly what we're hearing about right now. Wars and rumors of wars. You got the Ukraine war going on. You got this war brewing on the southern border with the cartel. And this whole situation, you might as well say the U.S., Israel, and Iran are at war right now. Rumors of war, World War III, Russia and China getting involved, all these things. You got it.
It's getting so serious that my mother actually called me, and she was like, "Did you hear about what happened to Iran? We basically in war." She don't even know a clue about what's going on, but she is getting to that point where the Lord got the spirit of war in the air, and people seeing it, like, man, this is really happening. The scriptures speak of these things, man. You got it.
You read verse 7.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places."
And we're seeing kingdoms rising against kingdoms. Iran, Israel, and the U.S. Iran, they've been doing retaliatory strikes against several countries in Western Asia. Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE, or the United Arab Emirates, as well as the land of Israel. And they also said, look, with this happening, we just been, shooting our pocket rockets, pot shots. What we're going to be coming with is the real stuff soon enough. And now, with the fact that they just killed their man, Khamenei, there's no going back. Like before, yeah, you know, you blew up some of our infrastructure,
Right.
and you know, we can still have some peaceful talks, but you killed our head of state, or one of our heads of state. Like, you got your back against the corner. Like, you can't bitch up at this point.
I think you might have put in the chat, but I think one of the Iran leaders said we finna use weapons y'all never even seen before. So it's about to get detrimental for America. Man. We finna see war on American soil. The third war is about to come, man. It's exciting times to be in this truth.
Kind of read verse 8.
This is book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
But that's the thing. These are the beginning of sorrows, and as it said at the end of verse 6, but the end is not yet. You know, it won't go fully nuclear, or the end won't fully come until that micro CHIP, the mark of the BEAST in Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18 is mandatorily implemented. So things are obviously gonna heat up exponentially, but hey, the end is not yet. You know, what we could see the perfect things get put into place to lead we are with the CHIP, what? So-called EMP or cyber attacks taking down the grid. You know, again, Iran is talking about launching sleeper cell attacks. And then you've already got these different countries, you know, even America's own Western European allies looking for alternatives to the U.S. financial and economic system, cutting them out of the deal, which would lead to what? You know, less use of the U.S. dollar and the collapse of the U.S. dollar, which is exactly what these elites are hoping for. They want to bring in that new system. And what? They've got that saying, all wars are bankers' wars. That's another thing. You know, you've got these heads of state in these different countries, you know, being the figurehead for these wars, but best believe you've got the elites behind the scenes heavily orchestrating things to further bring about, you know, this NWO system.
That Jeremiah? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman, Salaki. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them.
And that least of the flock is talking about those Amalekite Edomites, those tiny tops over in the Holy Land. And, you know, it's crazy because before these strikes took place yesterday, I was watching a alternative news site where a guy was going into some information that's been coming out, and pretty much, you know, Trump's advisors were telling him, look, let Israel strike first, and then America's going to get involved. That's the least of the flock drawing them out. And Trump pretty much said the same thing. Look, Israel strikes, we're going to come up to back them. And as we can see, you know, it played out just like that. And, you know, the U.S. hasn't been moving all that heavy military hardware into that region just to, you know, show off their ships in the sunset. They're going to plan on using them. And things are going to keep escalating and escalating, especially by those tiny tops, until, as it said at the end of that verse, surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Hey, the land of Israel is going to get touched more. Russia and China are going to get involved. Nukes are going to hit the Holy Land eventually. And then what? The United States of America is going to get that nuclear smoke at the end of World War III. But yeah, we can go with that Joel 3 and 9.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9, and it reads,
because this is ultimately what all these different events are leading to.
Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up.
And that's exactly what the prophets are doing, proclaiming this among the Gentiles, the heathen Gentiles, to prepare for war. World War III, war with Iran, nuclear war. And it said, let all wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, which we've been clearly seeing over the last month with the U.S. moving its military hardware into that region. And also, you had China just recently give Iran, you know, anti-ship missiles for what? Defense against those U.S. aircraft carriers parked, you know, in the Persian Gulf, well, you know, parked in the Red Sea, and, you know, moving towards the Persian Gulf. Well, actually, yeah, they got in Bahrain, which is in the Persian Gulf, the U.S. has a naval fleet there. And then, you know, information's coming out that, you know, the Strait of Hormuz is about to get closed, which is going to be a major shock to, you know, the global oil network, because that's one of the major places where oil flows through at.
going.
Kind. You can go down to verse 14.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
And we're seeing the weak saying they're strong with Iran, because what? They just struck multiple Arab countries. And, you know, as the brother just said, Iran said, hey, we're about to bring out some stuff you've never seen before. And, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you would have never seen Iran directly strike Israel. But these are the times we're living in, because what? They've got God, Russia, that they know when things really heat up is going to come to their defense.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither, because thy mighty ones come down, O Lord.
Khan, and those mighty ones are the death angels, you know, in the great river Euphrates, holding back this great destruction, waiting to get the go-ahead to fully release it, which is going to happen after that MOTB is mandatorily implemented. But as it said, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. Keep going.
Verse 12. Let the heathen be wakened and come into the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
And Jehoshaphat in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment. And when you read in the first couple of verses, the reason Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is ultimately gathering these nations down into that region is to judge them for afflicting his children, the nation of Israel, the true Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And what's so poetic is what? These nations began in the Fertile Crescent. All this tension, all those thousands of years ago began in Western Asia. And what? These thousands of years later is going to end back where it started. Everything comes full circle. As it says in 2nd Esdras, I believe, chapter 14, my judgment is as a ring.
Verse 13, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
Keep going.
Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
And we can see with all these things taking place at the day of Yahweh, the day of great judgment, the war of Armageddon, that third woe is near in the valley of decision.
Straight to the point, man. All hell's but to break loose. We at the end, man. So call Lord Yahweh Shai. We speed things up. We almost out of here.
Hey, so with that, you know, we hope you sincere Akim and Akwak were edified. And again, as always, we're going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. Abab Abal,
Kwam
Yasharala,
Kwam Yasharala.
Shalom.
Shalom.